Our next speakers are Gürsel and Autumn from the Picus Security team. They have both implemented BAS in hundreds of environments across healthcare, financial, insurance, energy, you name it, they've deployed BAS in it. They're going to be bringing the technical aspect to BAS and also sharing how it relates to Picus Security and their customers. So if you're interested in learning more from the architects, then this is the session for you. Gürsel, Autumn, let's talk some BAS magic.
Thank you, Ron. So I'm very happy to be here along with Autumn. So today we'll be discussing redefining the attack simulation with the help of the AI. So today we already discussed some important points before these sessions, and we try to give some answers to hard questions. So I would like to start with a hard question that we see today. This is one of the hardest one. I believe there is no simple answer for this, but I will ask to Autumn how the companies are preparing themselves for this kind of situation. So what do you see in the field?
It's a good question. I think it's something that I hear organizations ask a lot when we're having conversations with them. Is this is something that they're trying to be able to respond to? And through just conversations with organizations, what we tend to see, or what I've tended to see in terms of how they tackle this question, is a fairly maybe lengthy process when we're talking about new emerging threats. And it all initially begins with just gathering the threat intelligence itself. So maybe it's specific to the industry or the sector region that organization exists within, but they have to begin actually collecting that intelligence around whatever that new or emerging threat actually is. From there, then they have to go through an analyzation process of the intelligence. They have to manually extract and begin mapping the adversary actions to known TTPs. And as you're seeing within this graphic, right, there's time that is tied to each of these steps throughout the development process. They have to then take those actions and actually begin to try to create an attack kill chain to reflect how the adversary would actually move about in the real world, which again adds additional time. But I would say what we see as being the biggest lift for organizations is really in the form of actually developing the TTP. So what we often see is manual scripting of the tools and commands to replicate that attack sequence of the adversary, of the attacker. And this, as I mentioned, is where we see the most amount of time being spent. So it can take days to actually develop these things before they can actually then begin implementing those scripts. So taking those developed TTPs and simulating them against their systems, where they then can begin to actually finally validate or identify weaknesses within their controls. So a lot of times this is taking through at least 3 to 4 days. I would say this is, from a mature team, it can take 3 to 4 days to actually implement some of this. But I do, I have a suspicion, Gürsel, just based on the contents of the conversation today, that you might actually have some insight into how this could be maybe optimized.
Of course, there's a way to do this. So it's not that simple, because you explain the entire story here, but also behind the scene. So there might be a lack of human resources to make this kind of analysis, right? And time is another key point. And then reliable results. So where will you get these intel, and how you can correlate all this data to be prepared against this? So of course, today's topic is the AI part. So the steps can be leveraged with the help of the AI to reduce the time for analyzing this. So first of all, you need to define the threat. Then let AI analyze it, and then make a research and build the attack campaign. Then map it to the TTPs and tools, review, run the simulation, assess the results. So actually this approach will save your days. So you can reduce the time to hours rather than the days. So actually, with the evidence-backed actions will help you for improving your defenses. So let's see Picus in action, how we are leveraging the AI for this. So we are leveraging the Numi AI to take our threat intel, builds and map the campaign, then guides execution and review. So this is how the journey is starting. So the process will start with the intelligence gathering. Then from 20 sources, we will get 8 high quality ones. and then we are extracting more than 100 indicators, including IP addresses, DNSs, other hash informations, or TTP itself. So among these indicators, we are validating 58. So you cannot leverage all of them in your actions or simulations, right? Then consolidate them into the threat intelligence report. Actually, we will combine a lots of data into the our own intelligence report. So moving forward, the next step will be deconstruct the adversary behaviors to the TTPs. So after this step, what we are seeing here, there are 12 distinct behavioral patterns, and with the 10 tactics and 22 techniques were mapped to the specific threat group itself. These results are consolidated in the TTP profile. Now I collect the data, I create a threat intel report from various resources, then creating a TTP profile for the analysis. So the research is completed right now. So key attack vectors are defined. So we are seeing spare phishing, persistence, process injection, and the tactics and behaviors of these key attack vectors. So the next step, how we would like to go further. So of course we can run the attacks. So based on your needs or approach, we can select specific simulations. But right now I would like to focus on endpoint attacks. So now I'm creating an endpoint scenarios with the intel that we gathered. So now report analysis is completed, endpoint specific TTPs identified. I'm seeing there are 6 tactics with 20 techniques, 12 techniques extracted, and 18 actions are mapped to the FIN8 endpoints. Now I'm ready. So I can see the full scenario here with the chain. So the next action will be running the attack. The AI is helping for moving forward. So I can simply say, okay, I want to investigate if my security controls are preventing these activities or not. So it seems I'm in a good shape. So most of the tactic and techniques are prevented, but I would like to investigate more. So I can focus on the detection pieces, how I'm running the my EDR SIEM to detect this kind of activities. So after making an analysis, I'm seeing that I've collected logs, I'm seeing the offenses, which is fine, but I can dig in details to see what I am missing. So you can focus on the details for each action with the help of the AI in this section. So I can get a mitigation guidance as well. So I'm asking to the Numi to get some insights for the missing pieces. Now I'm seeing there's a Splunk content in front of me. I can easily deploy the content from here to Splunk to generate an offense. See what is happening. I've deployed the content. Now I would like to verify if my content is working as expected for generating an offense or not. So now I'm going to the AI again, start the quick simulation to see if the mitigations are working as expected or not. So what I'm seeing in here, the missed offenses are now generated by the system. So of course, this is the end of the simulation. So based on the persona, I would like to get a kind of report for the presentation to the executive level, or on the technical level. Maybe I would like to share this report for the mitigation guidance to the blue teams, or on the board level. So you can define what would you like to do. So Picus will provide a different type of report at the end of the simulation. So this is how we are simplify the process. I hope this is an answer to your question. The second question we would like to highlight and give an answer from the technical perspective, which will be how secure we are. So, Autumn, we were discussing how to be prepared against a single threat or the TTPs, whatever, right? So we go through that. But just think that we have a huge environment and we have a lots of remote offices or some segmentations. We are leveraging different type of securities over there. So this is the another point that we need to look at, right? So we may do a kind of simulation in many areas, but how we can give a simple answer that shows my security entire stack is working as expected. So this is the question for you. How we can leverage the AI for tackling this down. So what kind of problems you are seeing in the field?
Yeah, so I think to your point, right, we looked at using AI for that singular threat. And I think more holistically, we are seeing organizations trying to leverage AI more to compile a lot of the data to look a bit more holistically. But a lot of the challenges that I see in answering that previous question is the AI that's being leveraged, or the way that organizations are able to leverage AI today, is really lacking the organizational context. So maybe they're pulling, that very technical data from various sources to kind of stitch together a picture of maybe a particular location or a particular region of the environment, but it's really lacking the organizational context because that AI that they're leveraging is not really aware of all of the various controls that are in place, or all of the additional data points that really tie into is our security stack really working as expected all the time. Additionally, what we see is that the reports become, because it tends to be a lot of really technical data, they're not directly translatable to executive level stakeholders. So we might get really granular technical data on how to focus on a particular branch or location, but it's not something that is easily digestible to the higher level stakeholders that need that bigger picture. And so really, I think it boils down to, organizations are looking for more contextualization around that data that they might be doing more manual reporting with today. And so, Gürsel, my question to you would be, how would that look, or what could that look like if we were to leverage Picus to try to achieve some of that contextualization?
Sure, thank you for the explanation. There is no one fit for all, right? So there are lots of data. We need to digest that data, of course, and we need to find a way to present in a right way to the right audience. So this is how we can leverage the AI for this purpose. So prop-based engineering. So this is well-known approach. So again, I can create this some dashboards by starting from the scratch by leveraging the AI, right? So just I would like to type something to see the security score with the trend indicator. So this will be helping me to visualize the data that I see during the certain period of time. So this is the first outcome that I am seeing. So, it will give some insights, but if you want to enrich this data with different approaches by tying them to the a kind of frameworks like a MITRE ATT&CK framework, or if you want to focus on more like the prevention related outcome or detection related outcome. So these things can be created easily with the prompt engineering. So we are, of course, suggesting many dashboard widgets to you, but you can leverage the your ideas to create a different type of visualization according to your audience. So at the end, after creating all these widgets, so you can save them as a dashboard. So you can have your own customized dashboard, which powered by the AI. Of course, there will be lots of filtering options according to your needs, locations, simulation details, or agents that you run the simulation can be utilized for the filtering option. So in a single pane, you can see the all assets that you have from various perspectives. So this is what we can do in a nutshell. There is another question, another hard one. So this question is directly to you. So should I patch the all critical, high risky vulnerabilities? Even my security controls are preventing 70, 85% of these threats. So how do you say this? So what kind of answers we can give to the audience?
Yeah, so this question actually for me hits home just a little bit for just because at the beginning of my career I spent a lot of time in the vulnerability management space, and it's an important piece of just visibility, what vulnerabilities actually exist within the environment. But this question, I would say, has been probably the most reoccurring question in my career that I hear from organizations. How do I prioritize? What do I actually need to focus on? Because, we might see specific CVSS scoring in our vulnerability management tool, but we know we've got compensating controls in place, and it's not as risky. And so what I tend to see when organizations are trying to answer this question is that they've got all of these various layers of data. They've got their asset management data and device data. They've got their vulnerability data from their vulnerability scans. Maybe they're doing, security control validation, so they've got that data as well. And then maybe even on top of that, they're leveraging some threat intelligence data. But what I've seen or what I've experienced is that those layers or those layers of data are pretty siloed. So a lot of the organizations that I've worked with, or a lot of the security practitioners that I've worked with, have had to very manually go through all of those different layers and try to cross-correlate to identify what are the actual vulnerabilities that we need to prioritize or focus on, because they actually pose some sort of risk to the environment. And so there's just a lot of conflicting information from these tools on where to focus, and it becomes a really manual effort. And I think we actually heard, Vulcan allude to, Picus's data fabric and how it can maybe contextualize a lot of this a lot better and give better visibility into prioritization. So I'm actually really excited about this piece to kind of see, what you've got to show in regards to adding that context around prioritization.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. So it was a long answer. So do we have a quick answer like yes or no at this stage? I
I
guess
mean,
I guess
it's
no, right?
a hard one to answer.
Correct, correct. So let me show what we have, how we can approach. So that is data for sure in a different layer. So we need to bring them together to see a meaningful outcome, to prioritize the things, right? So, but before doing this, we need to know the environment. So without understanding your security stack, their policies, your assets, so it is really tough to focus what they matter most for the organization. So first of all, we need to start with fetching the all data that you have in your organization. Without understanding these business units, business context, it is really hard to fight against the bad guys, right? So what I'm seeing in here, so I collect the all operating system data, so and also collecting the EDR data with the policies and then other bunch of things at the backend side. Then I'm creating a business scope for the organization to start investigation. So what I'm seeing in here, there are a different type of business scopes in here with the exposures, where to start. So you can divide these into different teams, but I will start with the R&D workstation. So this is my starting point for today. So what I'm seeing here, when you look at the details, we are seeing the base risk that comes from the CVSS, right? And also you are seeing there is Picus exposure score. So with the standard vulnerability management approach, most of the people are focusing on these pieces, but we can deprioritize the CVSS by leveraging our security controls, business criticality, and etc. These parts also matters for the organization. So let's go real quick. So the base CVSS was 9.8, but after analyzing my security control effectiveness, that the attack that may exploit the vulnerability is prevented by my security controls around 50%. So this is also matters while calculating the risk. So on top of it, there is a business criticality section. So if this asset is critical for my organization. Also, this needs to be, discussed. We need to put this into our algorithm. The AI will be analyzing these things by including exploitability, the CVSS score, and then security effectiveness, and will create a final results for us. So by doing this, you can deprioritize the vulnerabilities that seen by the vulnerability managements in here. So thank you. I hope this is helpful for all audience. So just to summarize, I would like to give the mic to Autumn.
Yeah. Thanks, Gürsel. That was all really interesting, right? Especially that last part, as I mentioned, for me is especially just really interesting in understanding exposure and true exposure. I'm excited about the Numi AI piece of things. As you kind of walked us through, I think it'll be really interesting to see how it helps organizations to automate some of that threat emulation that they're doing more manually through maybe their threat intelligence platforms today, or their own threat intelligence gathering. We talked a lot about how some of that is more manual today. So it's interesting to see how Picus can help to automate some of that. And then just overall, just simplifying the simulation aspect, being able to actually just say, hey, I need to really focus on this. This is what's affecting my organization, and allow the tool to work through that on its own. And then overall, right, then translating that into data that's digestible for both technical folks, but also at the executive level is really meaningful. And then overall, big picture of things is identifying what's the actual true risk. So it's really exciting to see Numi kind of do that in action. As you're seeing, right, we've got an early availability program. So I think that we'll drop into the chat probably a link to sign up and access that early availability. But I appreciate you walking that through that, Gürsel. It was really interesting.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Gürsel and Autumn. It should be clear. You can have the most sophisticated BAS platform on the planet, but if you don't know how to operationalize it, then you pretty much just have a very expensive shelf wait.